True Ballers podcast. It's been a little while. It's been like probably like a month. We've been busy. We've been in the lab, just kind of cranking out the numbers, getting down to the nitty gritty here. Final four games, 4 or 5 games coming up. Like the final, pretty much week and a half of regular season NBA. Then we got some playing games, some juicy matchups in those 7, 8, 9, and 10 seeds, and then we got the playoffs, and it's going to be a crazy year. We got so many injuries, so many things to talk about, to catch up on. um yeah, I've missed you guys. I've missed this forum, this setting, to just, I'm sure today's going to be heated. We got a lot of pent up emotion going on here, and yeah, why don't we start off with, we just, so happy Mother's Day. We're recording this on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everyone's, mothers, wives. Even though I know most of our listeners out there are guys, so make sure you're treating your woman well today. And yeah, and so we just came off of that 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, huge dub, the Knicks against the Los Angeles Clippers. We were talking before we got on air. The Knicks are now a game and a half above the Hawks for the 4 seed, a really, really important seeding placement over there in the East, because like we were talking about earlier, the Heat are on the come up. They're looking healthy. Jimmy Butler's starting to put the team on his back and making an all NBA type push for himself. And they're looking back to form a little bit. So we don't want to play them. We need to play the Hawks. I think we need to be, 4 or 5 with the Hawks gets us at least a chance at a first round playoff victory. And then we'll see who, we'll take it from there, step by step, day by day, game by game. It's going to be a tough road, but hey, the improvement, man, the improvement this year is crazy. It's absolutely insane.
Harry, I want to give a shout out to a mother that we've mentioned before on this podcast. I want to give a shout out to Julius Randle's mom. Okay, happy Mother's Day to you. And I owe the Knicks and Julius Randle an apology. Okay. I'm gonna stand up. Well, I'm not gonna actually stand up because I'd be out of the camera, but I'm gonna say it. Okay, Julius Randle, you deserved to be an all-star this year. I was wrong. I will put my hat in my hand, and I will say that you have probably not just because of your first half, but honestly more because of your second half. You have wowed me. You've showed out. It's not just been a 10-game, 20-game run. You've had a great season. Keep it going. Giving you a chance and your boys in New York a shot. But we all know that Brooklyn's going to win anyway. But I'll leave it there. But happy Mother's Day, Julius Randle's mom, Mrs. Randle.
Chris, I'll give you a chance to disappoint Knicks fans again. First team All NBA for Julius here.
If they broke it down properly, then no. But I wouldn't doubt it if he gets some votes. I feel like
he's definitely All NBA though. He's all NBA. He's second team, if not first, right?
I would say they're going to give him second team. First team's tough to get. First team's that's pretty rarefied air. If he gets first team, then you know what? If he gets first team, I won't even go off on it about it. If he gets first team, he's carried what I thought was going to be the worst team in the league to a 4 seed. So you know what, Julius Randle, if the media votes you in, you deserve it. And also because it's Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day, Mrs. Randle, to your boy and to your Knicks, all the boys. Go for it.
Let's go.
I love it. See, Chris, this is the energy that I needed from you early in the season. But you know what? You stuck to your wits, and now that you realize you were wrong, you're coming forward, and you're not apologizing, but you're giving.
You're admitting you were wrong.
Okay.
I was wrong. Julius Randle deserved to be an all-star. So, I'll say it. I'm stepping right up to the plate.
Listen, hey, that's part of growth. That's part of development. That's key, bro. So definitely appreciate that. You know how I feel about Julius. Keep doing your thing, bro. Got another big win, as Harry G just said, in LA. 4 games left in the season. We're going to play the Lakers, who've been stumbling, bumbling, and dropping the ball. Kyle Kuzma can't seem to find the basket right now. You got Anthony Davis, who just came back from about 2 months off. LeBron James says he's never going to be the same again. So a lot has happened since our last episode. But Harry G, our last episode with Let's Talk Sports, Matt Savage, the Knicks were cruising. They were grooving. They were winning like 7 or 8 in a row. and
Yep.
they continue to win. So big ups to all my haters. Let's go Knicks.
Let's go. Let's go. That's right. That's right. So yeah, we've definitely been on hiatus for a while, as Abenz just said. We've kind of skipped from, I think the last time us three got together. So the last pod we did was with Matt Savage. Let's talk sports. Shout out to him, and let's talk sports over there. And that was when the Knicks were on, like you said, Benz. I think 8 or 9 game winning streak. Um, probably a few weeks ago now. And the last time we were together was the week before that, probably a month ago. So yeah, we haven't had the chance to talk about the Lakers. I'm with you guys. I don't know, Chris, what your thoughts are with LeBron without LeBron. Obviously, it looks like an impossible task for them. But I don't know if you're thinking LeBron is just kind of milking this injury a little bit. Maybe he's just kind of giving us, I'm never going to be the same again, so that when he comes out firing in the playoffs, in the championship, everyone's like, oh my God, and he's injured. And it adds to his, legacy versus Jordan or something like that. But hey, I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to call the man a liar, but I could see that
Pretty good
happening. What are your
injury
thoughts?
if you really look at it, but yeah, no, definitely. He's also
But
above
he's milking
30.
it. I think he got injured, but I think he's milking it a little bit. Chris, I would like to hear. I
I
feel like you might agree with that. I'd like
think
to
we
hear
should
your
have brought
thoughts.
Ross on the podcast.
I don't think he's
Ross really thinks he's milking it.
I don't think I'm not going to use the phrase that he's milking it. But what I think is LeBron James, for how good he is on the court, his mind and the team he has around him are just as good off the court. And I'm not going to say he's milking it, but he's framing it. He's a
Yeah.
genius at doing this no matter what happens. Because I feel like even when they lost to Golden State, he went out and I mean, when you watched it with your eyes, you just said LeBron James didn't have that great of a series. But even so, in some of the garbage time minutes, he was able to kind of really elevate his stats. And I'm not saying that he's doing that intentionally necessarily, but then at the end of the game, you kind of come off it and say, hey, I averaged 30 and a triple double and or near a triple double when we happened to lose, but I did my part. I feel like with LeBron, he's framing it well. I think a high ankle sprain is nothing to bleep. That's a real deal injury. That's a tough one to come back from. They have to make a push. I think they're resigned to the fact that they're going to be in a playing game. And I think that LeBron James never thought, especially after his quote last year of loving the idea of a play-in tournament and play-in games and whatnot, he did not think in any way, shape, or form that he was going to A, get hurt, or B, end up actually playing in this kind of situation. But back against the wall, one game, we've seen what LeBron can do in game sevens. We know what he's about in elimination games. Contrary to what I just said before, the man is dangerous, period. So is he milking it? I'm not going to say he's milking it, but I think at the end of the day, he knows the only thing that's important is winning championships. And I think if people think he's looking for a pass because of his injury or whatever, then I think they're wrong. Because at the end of the day, that team, as you look at it and how it's constituted, it's not the best team in the league. It's not the best team in the West. And especially and the bottom line to me was it wasn't just about LeBron James being healthy. Anthony Davis has been not himself all year. He hasn't been outright bad, but he has not been himself. And if they wanted to win a championship this year, they need an Anthony Davis to be peak Anthony Davis and need LeBron James healthy. And right now they have neither of those two things. So they're in trouble, but they're going to make it into the dance. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, no, that's a good way of putting it. What he's framing it. He's framing the situation, but there is also something to be said, and I know Aben's, you're talking about Ross a little bit. I know what Ross's thoughts are. My brother is that there are players right now like a James Harden who are injured, air quotes. If you're not watching us on YouTube, we got air quotes going. Injured James Harden that had an injury, had a soft little I think it's a hamstring injury, and then claims that during rehabilitation re-hurt himself to the point where he hasn't played in the past like 2 weeks. And I feel like I've seen a lot of great players this year getting quote unquote injured. And I wonder just how severe those injuries have been this year. And that's why I use the term milking it, as in they know that it's, to your point, they know what's important. The playoffs are important. They don't need to come out here and win games. The play-in games do change things though. And I think, thank God that they thank God they made that rule. That's a season saving change, I think, because this season has been, like I've went on a rants before. This season has been terrible in terms of quality of play, um, players that are the best players actually being able to play, being injured, taking off, resting, not playing back to backs. KD, I guess, started playing back to backs recently, but before then, like I don't know if he played a back to back all season up until a couple weeks ago. So it's absolutely like just been a horrible season from that standpoint. So I think the playing game saved it by just adding something fun and exciting, like a one game, one round, win or go home kind of feel. And yeah, LeBron doesn't want to play in that. He thought it was a great idea when he didn't think he was going to be having to play in them. And he's like, I'll just be the 1 seed until I retire. But now that he's got to play in it, he's like, oh crap. Like, yeah, like I guess theoretically I could lose the playing game as the 7 seed and the next game. You never know. And then they're out of the playoffs. Abenz, what are your thoughts on the play-in game?
So, I mean, let me touch on LeBron real quick. And I don't think he's milking it. I don't even think he's framing it. But it is LeBron, so he's got away with his methods. I think he realizes, he tried coming back. Team isn't playing that well. I think he realized, you know what? We're probably not going to get that 4th seed. We're probably not going to secure that 5th seed either. So what's the next best thing? All right, let me rest up. Washington played the 2 games, wasn't as explosive, still was running the offense. So even at his limited capacity, he could still play, decent to, subpar basketball. But right now, I think the key is for him to just get healthy. It is a high ankle sprain. If you watch the play itself, it's not one of those ankle sprains you like to see. And he's getting older in age as well, so the body takes a little longer to recuperate. But we know that LeBron puts millions and millions and millions of dollars into his body each year. So listen, the play-in tournament, the way it works, the way I see it is they're most likely going to end up in that 7th seed. So boom, you win the first game when you play the 8th seed. Right now, they'd be playing the Warriors as of today. I think they could still beat the Warriors with a healthy Anthony Davis, subpar LeBron. Dennis Schroeder isn't there right now, but he'll be coming back. And they still have some really solid pieces out there. Andre Drummond hasn't played to his capability, so he needs to step it up. Kuzma needs to step it up as well, who I think is going to be on a trade block this year. Definitely going to be some trade, this summer, some trade bait, just because he's not performing. I'm sorry, I can't keep giving this guy passes. It's funny. He's consistent with the change in the hair color, but he's not really consistent with the scoring. But hey, that's neither
so
here nor
not
there.
that consistent with the hair color, I guess you
But
could
listen,
say.
like I said, that's neither here nor there. Let me get back to the play-in tournament. I think they can beat the Warriors if the Warriors get the 8th seed, if Memphis gets it, or if the Spurs get it. I still think they'll be successful. They'll win that game, and they won't really have to worry about it. Worst case scenario, they'll play the 10 or the 9th seed, whoever wins that matchup. So they have a second opportunity. But it's going to be tough, man. The West is tough. You got the Suns, you got the Utah Jazz, top 2 teams, but beatable teams. I'd rather have them in the first round than a team like the LA Clippers, who has fallen to what, the 4th seed now, the 3rd seed, the third seed.
I think they're 3. I think Denver's 4.
I really think the LA Clippers and the Denver Nuggets out west, even though the Denver Nuggets don't have Jamal Murray anymore, are the 2 most dangerous teams right now. I really do. I mean, I watch this guy Joker play every night now, it seems like. And that, man, it is a show to watch him play, just the way he controls the whole game. So, and the Clippers, they'll get Serge Ibaka back. They're very tough already. They lead the league in 3-point percentage. And they got a bunch of dogs out there too. So, and they got Lou. So, he's got a ring under his little realm, something Doc didn't have. So, well, he did, but more recently with top-notch players.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm with you there, but I actually I mean, I don't know if I'd rather play the Clippers, but I feel like I'd rather play the Nuggets than the Suns without Jamal Murray. That's my thought, just because you have Chris Paul on that team who hasn't been able to get there, hasn't been able to make a finals appearance in his long and great career, one of the best point guards we've ever seen. And he's coming to the end of the line eventually. I don't know when it's going to be. Apparently this guy is just getting better and better in his 17th, 18th season at this point, but he knows it's coming. It's coming down to the wire for him. So I would not want to play a team like that with a guy like Chris Paul running the offense. If I'm not, especially with the depth that you just talked about, with Kyle Kuzma not performing, Caruso is Caruso, Andre Drummond not playing to his potential, all these guys, the only one that you could really count on to go get a bucket besides AD and LeBron is Dennis Schroeder. And so when you only have three guys that you could really count on every like night in, night out, I just get worried when you have a whole team that, yeah, like they're not an individual scoring team. They move the ball, they play really well, really good basketball. So I would be very nervous if I'm a Lakers fan, if you're playing the set. And to your point, like that's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the playing game. I'm worried about that first round against the Suns or the Utah Jazz.
And I completely agree. And Chris, before you jump in, listen, you won't have to beat LeBron and AD in 4 games. Eventually, Kuz will show up. KCP will show up. Montrezl Harrell's another one that's going to show up. So they don't have to show up in every game. As long as they show up in 2 or 3 games, like Kyle Lowry did a couple years back when he was in the finals, I think they'll be good. Chris?
I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I feel like this is the same kind of thing we discussed about. If LeBron James is 90% of himself, or even 85% of himself, we did this every year when LeBron was in the East. It's like, oh, the Atlanta Hawks, DeMarre Carroll, is he a LeBron stopper? Is anyone a LeBron stopper? Is this person a LeBron stopper? Is that person a LeBron stopper? The answer is there's no one that can actually stop him when he's relatively healthy. And I look at the Phoenix Suns, and I think it's just going to be a lot of LeBron ISO up the court, having a nice high pick and roll, and they're going to play that, I think, a pretty fair amount, especially late in like the first game if they do get to it, and just say, hey, how are you going to stop this? How are you going to stop this? And most of the time, people just don't have an answer. I think Utah would be more of an issue just because they have Rudy Gobert playing down low, but Phoenix wouldn't scare me. And because the Lakers are where they are, I think as long as they can avoid Utah early, they can still make a run. Because, I mean, even the benefit to them would be that they wouldn't actually have to face Rudy Gobert, and the Utah Jazz are playing the best team basketball till the Western Conference Finals in that case. But even so, I mean, they're going to have a tough go of it. This is not going to be like last year where they got Portland and then potentially it was, why is it escaping me at this point? Can't hear you, Abenz, but anyway. Houston. Yeah. At the end of the day, LeBron's going to be tough to stop. If someone's not playing good team basketball, but you're right. I think when it comes down to it, if you have the Dennis Schroeder game, I feel like you're saying, Abenz, you're spot on with all this. A lot of these role players, they just need to have the one game that's going to be able to put them forward a notch and make them good enough to beat someone. I mean, we've been saying that with LeBron for a while. It was the Mike Miller game. It was the Ray Allen shot game. It was the this person game. It's the that person game. It's the Mario Chalmers game. There's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. So I'm not overly concerned about it for the Lakers, but I just think that come second round, third round, if they don't have to face the Suns, then the Clippers are going to be a test, and the Clippers want them bad. Mm-hmm. And Utah is just going to be tough. So I'm with you.
I'm gonna counter that by saying, first of all, that to compare that Eastern Conference for the past 10 years to the Western Conference that we have this year is just laughable. Like, it's not even close to the competition that the Lakers played last year, because they were the 1 seed, I think was just the path that they had to the finals was just worlds easier than it's going to be this year.
I agree.
And their team is worse, in my opinion, and you know what's funny? I think not having like a Rondo is going to really hurt them. Not having another leader besides LeBron, because what they're going to do, Chris, is they're going to say, all right, we can't stop LeBron, so everyone else beat us. He's going to kick it out to KCP, and KCP is going to have those open shots at the end of games. Can he hit them? Maybe not.
He did last year. He was big for them last year.
Yeah, but AD and LeBron were 100% in the bubble, and they played their. To what I'm saying is that their path was just worlds easier than it's going to be this year. They're going to have the Suns, the Clippers, maybe the Nuggets. They might have 3 of the top 4 seeds. if they
Yeah.
want to make the finals.
I just think, though, that at the end of the day, the Clippers are a team they don't want to face. And the only person who can actually lay a claim at being a LeBron stopper is Kawhi Leonard. That's the only person who can lay a legitimate claim at saying that. Because even Andre Iguodala, LeBron still averaged, 27 plus points and still was doing his thing. I mean, there's not much else to say about it.
Completely agree. And you know what? And that's the Lakers. But you bring up Kawhi Leonard, which is another team I want to kind of touch on because we touched on them earlier a lot this season, but we really didn't touch much on them after. I don't know what it is, man, but is Kawhi I don't know, is it me or is Kawhi getting older, it seems like, on that court? I feel like he's getting injured a lot more. I don't see him playing with the same athleticism I used to. And listen, I know everybody ages differently. The body reacts differently. He has a lot of load management games this year where he hasn't played. But I've seen him play on the national circuit. I saw him on TNT. I saw him on Tuesday night TNT. I saw him today. I don't know what it is, man. It's something I can't put my hand on it, but it's not the same Kawhi that I grew to know when he was in Toronto, when he was really carrying that team, when he was on the Spurs. And I know, what is he, 32 now? 31, 32?
Something like that.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what it is, Abenz. He doesn't care about the regular season. I think he's been done caring about the regular season for the longest time. And that Clippers team is deep. And they are good. Yeah. He can just sit back and relax, and they're 22 games over 500. It's that easy.
And that circling back to our Julius Randle discussion at the beginning, that's what gets me annoyed when there's a lot of people who are like, well, Kawhi probably deserves first team all NBA. And it's like, for what? What has he done all season? And yeah, he could be just saving it for the playoffs. But I agree with Abenz that, like, watching him today, I was like, oh, we can handle this guy. Like, we were able to play with him even when he was on the court, not sitting back, not relaxing, like him and PG out there. There's something about them that once you figure out how to break them down a little bit, they seem to fold pretty quickly. And that's what scares me about rooting for the Clippers here.
And to the point of you speaking, they are deep, Chris, and I would have to agree with that. But listen, man, if you're gonna tell me I'm gonna have to, I'm as an opponent, I'll live with them being deep with what's his name, Pat Beverly. They got what's his name, Rajon Rondo, and they got the goggle guy now. What's his dude's name? They're starting point guard right now.
Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson.
Reggie Jackson.
I'll live with those three guys on the court doing whatever they have to do. Yeah, I'll live with those guys. I just think that when it comes to the playoffs, we saw what happened last year with the Nuggets. We talked about PG over and over and over again about him showing up in the big games in the playoffs. And you got to understand, playoffs, it's a lot more half court. It's not going to be all this freedom. So people are going to have to hit big shots. I'm not saying they're not deep, but I'm saying I'll live with those guards shooting when Kawhi is getting double team or what's his name's getting double team, PG. I think Serge is going to be big because I really do think he actually does stretch the floor out. But those other pieces, I mean, who's their big? What's his name?
If it's a
Zubac. And I'm not afraid of Zubac if I'm AD, if I'm the Joker. The Joker abused him last year in the bubble. We saw it. Nobody could stop it, not even Montrez. So for the bigs, I feel like, yeah, they are deep, but is it the right deep? I don't know. They don't have that three-point shooter that's just going to change the whole game up for them. So I think they're beatable. I think right now, honestly, what do we say? Utah is the number 1 seed, so the road's going to be through Utah, in Utah, with that fan base, with all those shooters. Clarkson's been bowling out. That team just plays stupendous. Mitchell hasn't been there. But I really think that's the team right now out west that, is the most solid. They're the most healthy. And hey, listen, it's going to be a tough road through Utah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And everything you're saying, everything we're talking about right now, the West is so crazy. Like anybody, that's what I really believe anybody can win this year. I honestly believe in the Nuggets without Jamal Murray. I don't think that they will win, but I don't think you can count them out. And I would not. I think Abenz, you said it earlier. I would not want to play Nikola Jokic in the playoffs this year. He is.
So the West is wide open, and you're saying that anyone can win, but you're forgetting about a big bad team across the river in New York called the Brooklyn Nets.
I'm talking about the West. I'm talking about the West, bro.
Okay,
I'm
I just
not
want to make
talking
sure.
about. Yeah, I'm not talking about the finals. I'm not talking about the final. Yeah, all right.
But you
We'll
know
get
what?
there.
But you know what,
We'll
Chris?
get there.
I think that's great because like those are the teams in the West. Those are the real. I mean, hey, big shout out to Steph Curry because he's been bowling out. But hey, listen, I'm sorry, Warriorland. I'm sorry, Warrior fans. Y'all had your fun. You had your 4 or 5 years where you went to the chip. You know, you didn't win every year, but you won more than you lost. So, you know, Steph is doing great things out there. Unfortunately, I don't think they have enough. It's not I don't think. They don't have enough. And for the Trailblazers, the other team that was on my mind, they're the Trailblazers.
They don't have enough either.
They don't have enough either.
Put
they
it
have
simply,
Dame,
man. They don't have enough.
It's only so much Dame can do. Dame's getting older. A lot of losses in his life in the past couple of months. So, you know, prayers to Dame. But hey, listen, y'all don't have enough. So that's the West Coast. I mean, we're looking at what we thought would be the top 4 teams anyways. The Utah Jazz, the LA Clippers.
The Suns? I don't think any of us thought the Suns in the beginning of the season.
Well, let's do a stat reference.
I think we had them. I think we had them maybe 11, like me and you, Abenz, and we were high on them. I think Chris was like, nah, like no way, if I remember correctly.
Well, let me double check with my stats, guys. But the Suns are in there.
Guys.
And then a puncher's chance to whoever the 5th seed is.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
so
not
this
5th
is
seed, but theoretically.
So yeah, I mean that's my point. Like you kind of have 5 teams that I really like wouldn't be shocked if any of them made it out the West. I would kind of be shocked if the Nuggets made it out without Jamal, but I wouldn't want to play them necessarily if I was any of the, good teams that we just mentioned. Let's talk about Jokic real quick because I heard something that kind of grinded my gears a little bit yesterday, or I read something rather. Nick Wright said that Nikola Jokic will be the worst MVP that we've had in the NBA in the past 35 years. And I just want to say, honestly, for saying that. Nikola has been balling the out for 3 years now. He is an absolute dog. He's 25. Get off this man's back because he is an absolute animal out there on the court, doing it without Jamal, making things happen. The best, honestly, a top 10, one of my favorite players I've ever watched play in my 20 plus years of watching basketball. And don't sit here and tell me that there haven't been worse MVPs. Like we talk about the Russell Westbrook one all the time. Yeah, his stats were pretty good, but Jokic is putting up triple doubles too, and their team is freaking winning. And they don't even have a point guard. He's the point guard. He's a center. He's a point center. Get off this man's back. You're telling me that he's not a better MVP than Derrick Rose? Like I love Derrick Rose. Jokic has been an absolute stud, 25 years old. Let the man live and win an MVP and just say, clap your hands, tip your hat. Why do you have to go after the man and say he's the worst MVP in the last 35 years? Listen, that doesn't even make sense to me, man. Harry, and I would like to hear your thoughts.
Harry, completely agree with you. First of all, Nick Wright, and I'm a LeBron fan. I haven't listened to what Nick Wright has to say since LeBron was on the Cavs, I think. Since LeBron came back and the Cavs came back from 3-1 and beat the Warriors in the finals. I think that's the last time I really listened to this guy. And I'm a LeBron fan, and he loves LeBron. But I can't stand to listen to Nick Wright. I
didn't even listen. I just read that he said that, man.
But I saw the article as well, and Nick Wright's credibility just keeps going down. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't agree with his article. I watched the Joker play this year, and I'm actually becoming more and more of a fan of his game just because, as you said, he's a center. But, man, he sees the court like LeBron at that position. It's crazy how he'll be on the post, and he can shift the defense, and the defense will shift. But he's 2 steps ahead, and there's a guy wide open that none of us saw, and you're just like, wow. So, listen, Joker, keep doing your thing. Keep balling. I love watching you play, and I'm going to love watching you play in the playoffs.
Chris, I'll let you go, but I just want to say one thing. I honestly think he's the best passer I've ever seen. And that's not a shot at LeBron. It's a very close toss up between them two as the two best passers I've personally watched play. I think Joker has it and he's 25.
I'll say it this way: Jokic 100% deserves the MVP. Not even close. And Nick Wright, good for you for throwing out clickbait culture. Good for you. Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes. I like
Exactly.
it. Tenacious, Nick Wright. Well done. Well done. You're really scraping at the bottom of the barrel if you're trying to make it so you're just throwing shade at Nikola Jokic for an MVP to get some clicks, man. Good on you. Keep up the good work, Nick.
Let the man live. Let the man live. That's all I got to say about
Yeah.
that.
Nick Wright, keep getting your bread. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep throwing these hot takes out there because you're gonna keep getting money because of it. Skip's been doing it the whole time, and I love Skip. Keep going, man.
All right. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's stop harassing Nick Wright a little bit and move on to the East real quick. Chris, I want your thoughts on this to start us off. Who are you most afraid to play as a Nets fan?
I mean, oh, you know what? You know what?
Don't say no one. Don't say no one because that's not the answer. That's not a right.
No, I
that's
was
not
gonna
the
make
answer.
it. I was gonna make a joke about the Knicks, but I'm not even gonna.
That would
say
be
that,
crazy though. All right.
I'm
All
not
right.
gonna
Wait,
say that,
let me just talk about this
Okay.
real quick. Yeah, like
By the
you guys
by the
will
way, on a
destroy them.
tangent, I like how everyone's light is really bright in the background. Keep going.
Yeah, our lighting right now is just perfect. Um but yeah, so dude, if the Knicks and Nets played in a playoff series, do you guys realize how crazy that would be in New York? It would be absolutely unreal. It would be unfreaking real if that happened. And it's more than possible. It very well could happen. I don't know where are the Nets in the standings right now. They're still in second, right?
number two.
Because I would think they would have to be number one. They would have to get to the one seed, and then it's second round easily could happen. I don't know if it's possible for them to get to the one seed. I haven't looked at that closely at those standings, but Knicks play 4-5 against the Hawks. Could see us winning that series. I mean, it's not definite, but it's possible. And playing the Nets would just be awesome, even if likely we lose that series. But man, if we could get like a game or two and make it exciting, it would be absolutely awesome. All right, Chris. I don't know what you're flicking right now, but what you're doing, but
Oh, I'm doing a great visual joke of putting the light over my head and acting like it's a light bulb, literally, for an idea. So for an audio medium, I'm really a genius, really changing the game out here, like Nick Wright
you
is.
got that
Well
audio.
done,
Yeah,
Nick.
you got that audio quality right now.
So to answer your question, the only team that I'd be afraid to play, the only team is the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid. There's no answer for him. There's no answer for him, but there's also no answer for Kevin Durant and James Harden, even Kyrie Irving on the offense, and Kyrie on the offensive side of the ball. So that's it. It is Joel Embiid. Can he put the team on his back? And I got to tell you, Joel Embiid, if he's 100% healthy and on, then he is just as dominant of a force as any of those other three guys that we have on the Nets. And he does it on the defensive end too. So that's the only team. But then again, I still think we take him in. I mean, I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be kind and not too crazy and just say 6. I'm going to say 6. Let's say 6. I wanted to say 5, but that's a little bit too. Screw it. 5. We're taking them to 5. That's it. We're on.
So Chris, your team's been on national TV a lot lately. Kyrie and KD have been playing. They haven't been winning.
Kyrie doesn't have to play.
But just hear me out. Listen, I've been watching them play, and listen, I've been high on Kyrie all season. It seems like he's slowing down a little, but he did have 45-point performance the other night. But the consistency has gone down a little bit. All I'm gonna say is, it seems like your team has trouble with big men. I don't know what it is. Blake tries to hold his own. I just don't think he's big enough. And he's definitely lost speed at this age and this time in his career. DeAndre Jordan, I mean, he's just collecting the check on the sidelines and grabbing 1 or 2 boards every game. Nick Claxton, your boy, I think he's too small
Speedy.
still. He doesn't have enough size yet. He doesn't have that NBA IQ on the defensive end yet. He's got potential, but I don't think he's there yet. All this without getting James Harden back, which we talked about earlier. So, he might be okay. He might be fine. But he also might be putting on some pounds. We don't really know, and I'm not trying to bash anyone. But listen, he hasn't been on the court. So game speed, endurance, all that matters in the playoffs when it's intense. We're going to have fans. And maybe not in the first round. Maybe y'all be fine in the first round. But listen, if y'all play the Heat, if somehow the Heat slip into 7th, I think that's going to be a little battle for you guys. I'm not done. I don't see you guys slipping up in the first round. Second round, I've seen you play against the Bucks, and I've seen you play against Philly. I think they're going to be tough matchups. And if Antetokounmpo decides to actually guard KD, it's going to be tough. I've seen a couple matchups where the Greek Freak is the only guy I've ever seen actually block Durant. It's the only guy that I've actually seen pose a threat on defense when it comes to Durant. So, and Jrue Holiday, another one. I saw what he did Kyrie back last Sunday. It wasn't looking too good for Kyrie. So the Bucks, yes, everybody's like, oh, they're probably not going to win. They're a good team. They just don't have enough. They're a good team. They might have enough. I think they might be the most dangerous team in the East that nobody's really, really talking about. We know the Bucks are good, but the acquisition of Tucker, they got the Greek Freak. What's his name is balling out? Your boy, who you said should have been an All-Star. I can't remember his name.
Middleton.
And Jrue Holiday. And they have a solid bench. My boy DiVincenzo been balling out all season, playing really good. So I don't think it's going to be an easy ride for you guys. I know you've been rocking with the Nets all season, and you're over here making jokes here and there. But listen, man, I see it, and I call it how I see it. So,
Yo, Abenz, let me say something real quick.
What's up?
You took the words right out of my mouth, man. I feel like every other year, when the Greek Freak wins the MVP, right? Everybody's like, oh yeah, they're the favorites in the East. Like they were the 1 seed.
The Beast has been humbled.
I think everybody is now he's got the chip. Now he's got something to play for. Now he didn't win the MVP, even though despite putting up the same exact numbers he puts up every year, he wins the MVP. Now no one's talking about him for MVP. Now nobody believes in him. I don't know. I think that's underrated in looking at somebody and the way that they might come out. And I totally agree. If I'm the Nets, I'm way more scared of what Giannis could potentially do than I am of Joel Embiid.
He hit 4 threes
As good as Joel has been, I just don't know. I mean, first of all, no one's stopping Giannis. He'll have 40 if he wants. And I agree that the rest of the team's been playing well. Chris Middleton, he's not a match. He's not on the same level as a Kyrie, James Harden, Kevin Durant. But yeah, the man was a borderline all-star this year, all-star last year. And yeah, they got a good, just a solid team all around. Where they're weak is their other big men, I would say. That's like their biggest weakness. But to your point, who's stopping? I mean, Nick, who we got on for the Nets? We got Blake Griffin, a crippled Blake Griffin, and Nick Claxton. And yeah, I don't know if that's enough. And I wouldn't bat an eye to the Milwaukee Bucks this year, man. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't sleep on them.
You guys never cease to amaze me with this Nets hate. Everyone's hating on the Nets, okay? But trust me.
There's no hate. I think they're the favorites.
On this flat planet that we live on, according to the great Lord with the all-seeing eye, Kyrie, there will be no the sage Lord, okay, the sage master. There's no answer. There's no answer for them at the end of the day. Okay, you make a lot of great points. Okay, there are a lot of great points. Oh well, Jrue Holiday could be a good match against either Kyrie or James Harden. No, Giannis might have the length. I'm not going to say he does. Might have the length to match up with Kevin Durant. And you're saying about all these people individually and what their matchups are going to be, and then you forget that you have Mike D'Antoni and Steve Nash crafting up an offense that's not going to just let them sit idle. sit idly by. Yeah, sorry, Mike D'Antoni and Kyrie. Actually, sorry, you have Kyrie Irving, the coach, scheming up an offense with his all-seeing eye to allow this team. They're not going to sit idly by. It's not just going to be Kevin Durant one-on-one trying to break down Giannis, or Kyrie one-on-one all game trying to break down Drew Holiday, or James Harden one-on-one all game trying to break down Drew Holiday. They have great shooters. I will say, at the center position, it's a wash. I can't say anything good about it. Like, DeAndre Jordan is not good anymore. Wonderful man, great human being. Like you said, Abenz, collecting a check, possibly a ring. Congratulations, DeAndre. Well done. You know the right people. That Brazil Olympics treated you well to get on this team. Nick Claxton is our best guy in terms of what I see on a day in, day out basis. I don't want to address Blake Griffin outside of actually being able to be like somewhat of a solid initiator offensively for the team. And he could spot up for three occasionally and do some things here and there, but he doesn't wow me in general too. But at the end of the day, it's not about any of the others. Okay. And I'm surprised that Kyrie hasn't just flat out come out and say it too. This isn't about Nick Claxton. This isn't going to be about Alize Johnson. Okay. This isn't going to be about Joe Harris. This isn't going to be about anyone besides Kyrie, James Harden, and KD. And offensively, how do you stop them together? Not one-on-one, not, this guy matched up with this guy, this guy with this guy, this guy with this guy.
I hope you're right. We haven't seen them play together. Let me stop you real quick. We haven't seen them play together. And are they going to play? Are they all going to play? We have no idea.
I'll tell you, they don't even need both of them. They don't even need both. They could get through the first round with one of those guys.
Chris, I think Chris, let me slow you down real quick. I think you're living under a rock right now.
I'm living on the same flat planet we're all living on, Abenz.
Listen. You're in that honeymoon phase with this Nets team, but you, as well as I, know that playoff basketball is not the same as regular season basketball. Yes, you make a great point. They're not going to be going one-on-one they're not going to be going one-on-one all the time, but most of the time they will, because those are the type of players they are. Second, the injury bug.
Kyrie, yes. James Harden, no.
Year after year after year in the playoffs, the knick-knack injuries, the knees, the ankles, the wrists, the fingers. Kyrie has constantly proven to have knick-knack injuries when it comes to a playoff run. KD, another one, hasn't been able to stay healthy. And yes, we talk about, these teams have, these players have load management where they don't really have to play in the regular season. Let me tell you something. You got to play in the playoffs. You can't just sit a day off because you went into overtime or double overtime, or you had a battle of a game and your body's a little sore, the hammies feeling a little sore. No, it's the playoffs. You're going to play. So God forbid, I'm not wishing ill will or injury on any of these players, but history tends to repeat itself, and the injury bug always affects someone in the playoffs. I'm not going to say it's going to be the Nets, but hey, if you got to get through the Bucks and the 76ers on your way to get to the finals, and then you have to play another tough team in the finals, it's going to be tough. Now, I'm not saying they can't get there. I'm just going to say it's not as easy as you think it's going to be.
I'll say this too, real quick. All these teams, all these LeBron teams, that we've seen over the past 10 years make the finals, none of them did it on their first, or they've made it, but none of them won the finals their first year. The Heat team, the Cavs team, the Lakers team, every team he's gone to that's gone to the finals and they're putting together a quote unquote super team hasn't won the first year. And it doesn't mean that the Nets won't, but I agree with Abenz. This isn't a walk in the park. This isn't, we got each game in 4, Kobe, Lakers 02, whatever season that was, where they won like 15 or 16 and 1 in the playoffs, whatever it was. But I agree with Abenz. It's not a walk in the park. They're going to lose games. They're going to go down in a series. I would bet money. If that's a line, I would bet money on that. They're going to lose a game 1 or maybe like go down 2-1 in a series.
They're going to get everybody's best shot.
Yeah, it's not a walk in the park. This is no cakewalk for them. And let me say something else too, real quick. 1999, 22 years ago, the New York Knicks 8 seed made the NBA Finals. So let's not be shocked at what goes on in another, because that was a short season. That was a 50-game season. let's not be too shocked about what happens in this shortened season, man.
Harry, I have been held down as a Nets fan for too
Tied
long.
up.
I
Tied to a
haven't
chair.
had a real chance at a championship, and now is the time. And guess what? I'm gonna let it fly, baby. I'm gonna let it fly. Okay.
Yo, you know who you're talking to. You know who you're talking to. I don't feel bad for you.
You should feel bad for me, okay? We've had decades of mediocrity, even decades of it.
Who are you talking to, bro?
The worst team. You
guys
guys have a championship in the past. Guess what? Guess what, though?
In 1970.
But you guys haven't had a team stolen out of your backyard and move across 2 rivers. Here's the bottom line, Harry, okay?
Stolen.
Nets championship. It's on.
They'll never do that to the Knicks.
Oh my God! Yeah, they'll never move the Knicks to Jersey.
They would never. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I understand.
We forgot.
This is a struggle.
Andreas from Jersey. They took the team right from your backyard, didn't they?
From my backyard in the Meadowlands, where I go to tailgate and drink beers. Shout out Coors Light if you want to sponsor us. Shout out Miller Lite if you want to sponsor us. Either way, I'll drink it all. But guess what? This is the year, Harry, okay? This team has the makings in its bones, and you can feel it. Kyrie has saged the Barclays Center, and this team is cleansed. And I told you on the first podcast, so people understand the joke, but I said that I would relentlessly back Kyrie this whole year. And guess what? That's what I'm going to do right here, because we live on a flat earth.
Chris.
And this is going to be an earth dominated by KD, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, our Lord and Savior.
Oh,
Let's
no.
go.
Oh, no. Chris.
Shout out the Montclair Kimberly Academy.
Chris, I'm gonna say something to you. I'm gonna say something to you that only a good friend would say to another good friend that he sees just getting into, you know, a terrible relationship, just too high expectations. Man, I just don't want to see you get hurt.
Dude, I feel like Kanye West right now. Nothing can tie me down. I'm like
because
Kanye
you are
West.
Either going. You're Dogecoin right now. You're either going to the moon or you're falling to zero real freaking quick, and nobody's gonna see it coming. But all props to you for being so optimistic. But I've learned quickly as a New York sports fan, not just Knicks, that you can't be optimistic with these guys. You gotta give them piece of your mind. You gotta tell them they ain't good enough. They're not good enough. They need that chip.
Chris, to add to Harry's rebuttal, hey, listen, bro, I don't want you to be under this rock, and at least I'm warning you of the things that could come. And I don't want you to just fall in love and then go put a ring on it, and then you're at the altar and they're not there. You know,
you're already married.
You're definitely going to be watching the finals, so you'll be at the altar. But when it comes to put the ring, time to put the ring on, will they be there? I don't know. I just want to prepare you. But hey, listen, man, I understand your pain. You're talking to 2 diehard Knicks fans.
Here's what's going to happen. We're winning the chip. I'm going to have a great celebration. There's going to be a Veuve Clicquot bottle just opened up on this podcast, and I'm going to be hyped.
We'll do
it. You guys are going to be hyped.
We'll do it.
And then guess what?
Sign me up. I want to be on a yacht.
Live.
I want to be
live.
And then guess what? We're going to do it all again next year, too. All right?
All right.
And you guys are going to be talking about the same thing, injury concerns and this and that. That's winning it all.
All right. Well, until then, we got a lot to talk about next time for sure, too. But, you know, keep an eye on those final 4 or 5 games going on this week. We'll come back on next week. I want to ask one more question. Yeah, I just want to ask one more question, and then you got what you got to do. Right now, Finals MVP, who is it?
Finals MVP, like in the finals, or like
who's winning the finals and who's the MVP? Like, who do you got? I mean, I know Chris, Kevin Durant, Nets, but
Abenz, Kyrie Irving, Lord and Savior.
Wow.
Kyrie Irving, Lord and Savior.
Wow.
You know what? You heard it here first. It's going to be Anthony Davis. Good night.
Oh. No shot, bro. I got LeBron. All right. Abenz, what do you got to say?
Can we all agree, the same way we agreed in the West that it's the Clippers, the Suns, the Utah, and damn it, put the Lakers in there. I know they might be in the playing game, but talent wise, those are the 4 teams that we're gonna see in the second round. East is a little different though. I mean, I think the Bucks are gonna be in there in the second round.
Time out. I just want to point out that the Lakers probably will have to play one of the 3 teams that you just mentioned in the first round.
So one of those.
Denver Nuggets.
The East, though, can we agree? Okay, it's probably going to be the Bucks, the Nets, and then
Sixers.
Philly. And who's the 4th seed? The Knicks? Are the Knicks going to be in the second round?
They very well could be.
They
very well could be.
I think
All
so.
right.
I think so. And that's what I wanted to say. I just want to say that my Knicks, as long as they hold ground in these last 4 games against the Lakers, the Hornets, the Boston Celtics, I forgot who the other team is, will be the 4th seed, and we'll probably be in that second round. So, hey, big shout out to Tibbs and the Knicks and Julius Randle and his mother.
Awesome. All right,
Happy
boys.
Mother's Day.
Boys, everyone listening, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. And yeah, let's go Knicks.
Let's do it.